right. There we are. Let's see if I can get everything proper here. So hopefully I am live now. I'm just going to see if I can't get my little chat window up, and then we can get going here. Let's see. So in case I'm already live, in this stream we are going to be working on a journal. So this is a wooden journal. It has a wooden cover, and I wanted to paint a northern light on it. And we're going to do this from the very beginning. I am painting with oil. I have my oil colors already set up here. And I have my turpentine and everything is here, and we'll start and we'll see how far we come. So welcome to this live stream. I'm happy to have you here, and it's just going to be 2 hours about and a nice little chat with those who hopefully join me, and let's get going here. I still have a little bit, there's always a little bit of things to figure out, and I have to see if I can't get my chat going here, which is the only thing that I seem to be missing. Let's see. So, well, so the thing is that I would really like to have a little screen where where it actually says chat and I can see who talks to me. That seems to be a little bit of an issue. So let me just figure that out here, and we can get going. So yeah, I wanted to have a red Northern Lights this time. It's basically the only thing that I've never really tried before, and hopefully we can get that, we can manage that. I think it should be possible. Hi, there at least I have a chat here. So I'm just gonna put it here. So welcome everyone. That's now in the stream. So yeah, I wanted to have a red Northern Lights, and it's not that easy. It's a really rare phenomenon. You can always see green and sometimes purple, but red, it's kind of, I think, a little bit above in the atmosphere when the Northern Lights comes in and it interacts with the atmosphere. So it's a little bit different, and it let's see if we can't manage to do that. So I'm just going to start here. On these journals, I always have to be really careful not to paint on the leather or anything like that. So at the beginning, we just have to be careful. I have put some, it's called a cicative, in my turpentine, which means that it dries much faster. So this is going to behave a lot more like, I suppose, kind of acrylic paint, where it dries a lot faster. And especially if you paint like I do here on wood, it dries much faster anyway. So it's quite a different experience, and I really like that. So I hope that everyone can see me and understand me. I can see a chat next to me here, so hopefully that works. So yeah, we're just gonna paint around it so that we have the background. I'm imagining a winter landscape with the Northern Lights. I'm really hoping that that's going to be possible to do here. Let's see if I can't get my little chat. I can see your comments here, but I'd really like to see if I can't find it. We had some wonderful Northern Lights yesterday here, and I was really inspired by that. It was quite purple, not entirely red, but that would be amazing. Hi, Luna. It is pretty wild. The blood Aurora. I haven't heard that name. But yeah, it looks incredible, and I think it would be really cool to manage to do that. I'm just trying to do something about my... Oh, never mind. I can see you here. It does look awesome. Well, good name, Blood Aurora. So we're gonna have to use some purple here. I can tell you about the colors. I think I am using a Prussian blue as the kind of the up here, and then just the violet as the main sky. I'm not really using much black here. We're gonna add some reds and something in there afterwards. So I don't want it too dark. Oh no, it's starting to rain. This is very cozy. I think autumn is just such an incredibly cozy time of year. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but now it's... we didn't have much rain today, but there was one big cloud, and it kind of decided to come in exactly at this time, which is fine. So a winter landscape, a dark winter landscape, I think, in the background, and then we'll do our Blood Aurora kind of here, I think. Good name. Well, thank you, Luna. I had no idea it was called that. So of course we don't want, at least I don't want too much of the book to shine through here, so I'm gonna have to have quite a thick layer. But we're gonna do layers on top of layers here, so the wood is going to disappear. As you can see, this is a book which you can open, and we have pages that we put in later when it's sold. Let me just paint. I like to have already paint around it here. Oh. So that I don't have to come in and do that later and the color is going to be all wrong. So I'm just gonna do it like this. And I can close it again, and I can keep that closed for the rest of the stream. It's already autumn. It's very much already autumn here. The leaves are already yellow, although that was really early for this time, for this time of year. But it's been autumn here for like 2 weeks already now. Which, yeah, I know. I've lived in Germany, and this is late summer, really warm summer days. But we have 5 degrees at night, and autumn, absolutely. So we can already do quite a lot here. I'm just gonna already put a little bit of red. I have a deep red here into the sky already. It's difficult to get a bright red into the sky if I put too thick of colors on it here. So I'm going to put the red down there. And then if you want some snow, kind of a deep landscape with snow here, we're going to have to think about the colors to be laid down there as well. Let's see. I've already had 2 pretty wonderful northern lights here, together with the huge blood moon yesterday. There's going to be one today as well. I think it's a super moon, when you have the full moon and the earth is really close to the moon is really close to the earth. So it's a huge moon on the horizon, and a full moon. So it was really beautiful yesterday evening, and then with the northern lights it was quite a spectacle. So if we have the, as you can see here, I have my new, I have my new oil sticks. It's a very interesting invention, and I bought a neon one. So it's an oil color, and it's a brighter color than I've ever had before. We're gonna put a little bit of that into the northern lights, I think. These are oil sticks too, and with an oil stick, it's basically like it's just pigment with oil, and you can paint it like. It's brilliant. You can draw with it, but it's oil color, so then I can just use turpentine, and I can go in and I can kind of smooth it out. So I really like this. This kind of add a whole new dimension. And for instance, I can do it like this. And I can basically draw with oil. So it's a brilliant thing. Let's see here. So I didn't really want to do that. Let's get a little bit of lighter color in. And I think we'll have the landscape here. I just want to put everything down so that I know where everything is, and then we can go in again afterwards. I'm going to use a little bit of ultramarine blue here in the landscape so that the blues are a bit different. And then the white can come in and kind of light it up afterwards. I love experimenting with new mediums. The room where I paint now, it's already full. I always love to add new things. It's never really been about one specific medium for me, even though I paint mostly with oil colors. I started up building little landscape with paper clay and things like that, and it's always been more for me to build the landscape. So I love adding lots of different new mediums and different things to paint on, different ways of doing it. I know oil sticks, it's brilliant. The fact that you can actually draw with oil, I think is brilliant. We got some, yeah, Luna says we got a lot of summer rain. We did get a little bit of sunshine. It hasn't been a terrible, a lot, but I think we've had enough. We had some warm days, and we had really warm days during spring. In May, actually. I'm just gonna put my phone here so that I can read the messages. So yeah, we did get some sunshine, and to be honest, I'm quite happy with it. Maybe we'll get a little bit more before the true autumn and winter starts, but I don't live here because I love the warmth and the sun. If I have like a few weeks of it, and we did, then I'm actually quite happy. But yeah, I think July just basically rained away. I know some of the farmers did have issues because basically everything just stopped growing when it was too wet. So there's been some issues with the rain here. But we had a really early summer here. So in May we had 20 degrees and sun, and that's might be why the autumn came so early in a strange way. Okay, so we have a little bit of our landscape here. And then, of course, now with red Aurora, it can be completely red, and it can also be a little bit green. And green and red, difficult to get that to harmonize. So we're just going to have to see. I don't want it to be too spaced out. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge if you want that in the painting. I think I do want a little bit of green. Or maybe you can do some turquoise with some purple shading into red. Something like that. Not entirely decided about that. So as you can see, we can still see quite a lot of the wood shining through here. So I'm just gonna do a little bit more of my really dark Prussian blue here. It almost looks black. So that we can get some stars in afterwards. I do want a starry sky together with this aurora. Good evening, Simona. Welcome to the stream. I'm so glad to have you all here. It's really nice. So we are painting with oil. Our painting, Luna actually told us the name of it, a blood aurora. So we're going to paint a northern lights, but with the red spectrum. So I think a little bit of green too. And if you're watching this stream later and you say, that's not possible, surely this is just some kind of a strange fantasy thing, just look it up. There are absolutely red auroras on Earth. Very rare. And as far as I know, the reason why they have different colors is that the particles, the plasma that is shot from the sun and kind of interacts with our atmosphere, interacts with different layers of the atmosphere. And there are different particles in the different layers of the atmosphere, and in a specific layer, when it interacts, it glows red. So that's what we're going to do. I think the color here is fine. And let's start to get a little bit of that red into, ooh, it is really scary. I've never done this before. So the nice thing here is that it's automatically, that's one of the reasons why I decided to use quite a lot of blue here, is that it automatically shades into purple. So the inspiration for this was basically that, well, it's Lena is actually the inspiration for this. So I have a universe launch coming this September. Universe and basically the night sky and so on. So lots of auroras, but I've done a lot of auroras before, and a lot of the night skies I've done are basically just dark. So a black sky, dark blue sky, and a traditional aurora. And she wanted me to paint a little bit more color, and to get a universe launch should be more color, more vibrant. And especially yesterday we had an aurora here with, it wasn't red, but it was very purple, very much on the purple side of the spectrum, which is in itself a little bit more rare. And that's when I came to the point that let's make it now. I have 1 to 2 books left for this launch to paint. I really wanted to paint books for live streams, and I thought let's just try it now. Let's get some vibrant colors into this and do something new. I've painted a lot of auroras already, and I've already painted in my last video. You can see I painted Northern Lights, kind of the traditional Northern Lights, basically what we saw, green and purple one. It's time to do something new. Time to do a red one. And it's already getting red. Is this a little bit too shiny for you guys to see it properly? So if I do this, that's better. Let me just, I have a little cheat here. I'm just going to put some tape. Don't mind the sound. Underneath the book. Tilt it up a little bit. That way we shouldn't have too much of that that shine. The shine can be in the landscape. We're not going to focus too much on the landscape right away. Just going to stick that underneath. There we are. Okay, so I need some different brushes. I think this one. So yeah, we have, I think now, oh, that is lovely. I have some new colors apart from the oil sticks. The most expensive oil colors there are the purple ones. So these ones, they've always been the most expensive. I think in olden days they had to kind of crush seashells to create the colors. And for some reason they still are expensive and impossible to mix. If you have a red and you have a blue, you're never going to get these wonderful purple colors anyway. So so I had to buy that. And now I'm so glad to have them. I bought the most the most expensive, really small little but really expensive purple colors, and I haven't had proper purple in a really long time, so I'm so happy about that. Hi Misty, welcome to the stream. So we have purples and we have our reds, and then we have our neon orange that we're going to put in afterwards. So as I said, the red is in a different kind of part of the spectrum here, and I think, as far as I can tell from the photos I have seen, is that the red is actually quite far up. So if it hits quite high up in the atmosphere, it goes red, then it goes purple, and then it goes green at the bottom. Bluish green. So I'm gonna have to think about the fact that it's not automatically the kind of rainbow thing here. I think it follows that concept a little bit, but we have red at the top, and then we have a little bit of green, and I have to see if and how we can get the green in. I'm gonna put a little bit of green in. If it looks too insane and crashes completely, then we're gonna remove that again. I never knew purple colors. Oh, they are. If you go and buy in an artist shop, just look at the prices for the purple colors compared to all the other colors. They're always the most expensive. It's not just with that. Actually, the purple colors with glass painting and porcelain painting are much more expensive than anything else as well. By far. And you kind of buy like this much and you get kind of the same for as when you buy yellow and you can get like a huge bottle. And of course, it really depends on the pigments. I'm sure there are really cheap ones, but with the expensive, proper, traditionally made pigments, it's incredible expensive. Thankfully, I paint really small paintings. Of course, you can get much cheaper colors, but the pigments aren't going to be that good. So what I wanted to do is I'm just going to see if this looks too insane. So I'm just going to add. So I think it's red, purple, and then bluish green. And we're just going to follow that. Let's see here. So every time there's the northern lights now, we really lose quite a lot of sleep as it's so late. I asked the farmer where I work these days. I work at a farm nearby here, helping out with various things. And if he had seen the northern lights, he said he always goes to bed at like 9 or 10 because he has cows and he has to get up in the morning. So he's almost never seen the northern lights here, even though he's lived here for 40 years. So, okay, now we're gonna... And there are sometimes if the red gets really strong, it goes yellow, but I'm not sure if we're gonna do that. So I'm hoping to keep to the way that this phenomenon looks in the real world, but I'm sure there's quite a lot of leeway and it can have lots of different iterations. So now I'm just kind of placing the colors where I want it, and then we'll smooth it out. Let's have a little bit more though. Often I remove a lot of the things that I've done just because mostly it's just to kind of get the things to the right place, and then I can start to go a little bit more and kind of really paint. So it always looks like it takes a long time to do these paintings in the beginning, and it takes so long to kind of get all the colors established and everything, and all of a sudden it's going to go really fast. This evening here on the lake there is a huge and beautiful full moon. Oh yes, Simona, that's I'm not sure if you were here, but I just read about that it's a super moon, meaning that it's full and it's really close to the Earth right now. So we saw it yesterday, and it's going to come again now soon, I think. You might have it dark earlier than we do still. So there's a super blood moon with northern lights yesterday. It was quite a spectacle. I think Lena got some beautiful shots of it. My dream to see northern lights, and I probably go to sleep very late. It is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I think if you've lived in a place for long enough, eventually most things that other people would kind of think are just incredible, you kind of get used to them. I mean, I know when we lived in mid Norway, kind of for a year, it was the first time where I can kind of see the northern lights on a regular basis. And I sat up all night looking for just the tiniest little speck of green. And now I have to admit, sometimes if we have northern lights, we kind of decide that, oh, tonight we're just going to pretend like there isn't any and go to sleep at a proper time anyway. So you do kind of get spoiled with almost anything. I think that's just human nature. I know when I studied in North Norway, and all of us outsiders who weren't used to the northern lights would just go, oh my god, there's lights, and the locals would just, oh yeah, that's nice, what are we going to do now? But if it's really, really strong, I think I'm never going to really get used to that. It's just it's so incredible. But that is really rare here. So I think I'm actually going to do this. We're going to have a little bit of blue in the red. Maybe a tiny little bit of green. Let's see here. I did mix myself a little bit of green here to get that too. Let's see if I can't. I'm just going to put a little bit of green at the very bottom and see if that's not completely insane. Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that you can sometimes just, by adding some different colors and then just mixing it up, you get the most wonderful effects. Okay, not too much of that. That looks too insane. I think we're going to stick to the blue and just add it. You can just see it a little bit there. It just looks a bit too creepy. I think we're going to stick to just with the blue. Little bit of very soft greens, but not neon blue. The green. That looks too insane. And I want to make the colors redder. If it's really going to live up to the name and we're going to have a blood Aurora, we need that. So there, and then we'll add a little bit of color here, here, and then on the horizon. I'm just going to add a little bit down to the horizon here, and then we can just add some mountains on top of those, I think. Something like this, and then we can make the reds more red. And I think it's going to be time to do a little bit of the landscape and maybe add some stars, and we'll get a little bit of life into this painting. Just important to establish the aurora first, since that's going to be the kind of main part of the painting. Let's get more red. so excited now with the turning of the weather. When it gets cold, all of the smells come back. And now, of course, with the rain, you get these autumn smells. It's just so different than during the summer. You get this kind of crisp feel in the air. I think I'm driving everyone crazy about my talk about so happy about the autumn. But I think it's just such a wonderful, wonderful time. All of the leaves have turned yellow now. And soon we're going to have the first frost. And it's just such an amazing time, I think. The lake is going to freeze over. And this is now going to be our second try. If we've been here 2 years now, we've been here for 2 years already, living here. Which means that we must have come in October 2 years ago, which means that this is our third winter. That must be true. I think that is true. Okay. Looks crazy, but I think it's going to turn out really nice. It is going to look a little bit crazy. It's I would expect the phenomenon to look crazy too, if you see it. I've only seen it in photos, but it does look a bit insane. So that's just what we're going to have to recreate here. It's 2020. Yeah, that Luna says, can't believe that 2014 is 10 years ago, and I absolutely agree. It seems like that just can't be right. 2014 surely was like just. I was finished with high school in 2009, and 2014 is like, it's no. It's so nice that light changes. Yes, it's less intense, the color changes. Absolutely. There are more colors now, different colors. The stars are back. I always miss the stars in summer. It's of course not true most places, but here we don't have any stars during summer, and now they are back, and I really enjoy that. Let's see, is this... Well, this is probably the best way of doing this. Let's do a little bit of this on this landscape now. Let's see, I'm just gonna have to put myself on top here. So, gonna get these colors up here so that we can put a landscape in front. So what I wanted kind of I think a forest, but then I should have gotten that a little bit further down probably. So if I want perhaps some forest, some trees here, we can still have some mountains off in the background here, I think. So let's paint them dark first. Let's paint some dark. I'm just going to mix some phthalo and ultramarine here. A little bit of black, just do a little bit of mud mixing. And then add some hills, I think. This is going to be really difficult for you to see. Yeah, I have to do that. I have to get it up a little bit higher still. Just... Oh, it's up. So something like this. Top messages. Let's just see if I all messages. Yeah, I'm not. Sorry. I might be missing some messages, but I'm not good. There we are. Okay, it's going to be a little bit strange to paint like this, but I really want you to be able to see the landscape, so I'm just going to have to do that. Like so. And we'll add, there we are, that's fine. Add the mountains. And I think that looks kind of nice. So we'll have some dark mountains. Can have a kind of rounded, snowy mountains here. Off in the background, then we'll have some trees in front. So what I want it to look a little bit, inevitably it's going to look a little bit crazy, but I do want a nice mood at the same time. I have to see if that's possible. I kind of like some of those colors here already, so I'm not going to mess with them too much. Often when I do this, I leave it a little bit up to the randomness as to what kind of happens, and just to see what looks nice. It's a little bit something that just happens. So I'm just gonna go with it. So the purple thing here, I already like quite a lot of these colors on the landscape, so I'm gonna try to keep quite a few of these. Sometimes I just paint completely over everything that I painted just because I just wanted the layer in the background, but this kind of looks nice. I think I'm going to keep more of this than I thought. Maybe we'll get a little bit of red into the snow to figure out where there are going to be trees. When you, when you start painting a precise idea of what you want to do. No, I have no precise idea. I knew I wanted to have some red northern lights and a snowy landscape, and that's kind of it. So no, I have not a clear idea at all. And the nice thing about not having a clear idea is that it does exactly what we're doing now, is that it kind of leaves it possible to just kind of see a little bit of what happens and kind of go a little bit with the flow here, and going with things that look nice. So no, I don't, not at all. Thank you, Luna. Yeah, I actually really like that. Turned out differently than I thought, but I like this. I don't want to mess with it too much. Trees. So what I wanted, snowy trees. So I'm just going to put the snow. I'm just going to put trees with lots of snow on them down first. Let's have them be a little bit purplish. And then we can add a little bit of green to it afterwards. So we're gonna have to try to put something down, and then we'll see how it looks. So what I wanted is kind of these statue trees, you know, when they're really completely packed with snow. And let's actually get them above the tree line here, the horizon. But let's be careful not to destroy the painting too much. Or hopefully not at all. This is probably a bit too light, but we can just imagine that there's a moon from behind or something. So sometimes in the mountains you have kind of frost and ice and snow, and everything kind of comes together and the entire tree is just packed and completely white. I think we're going for something like that. I managed to put winter and well, oh, thank you, Luna. Well, that is that I really like that about the fact that when you paint just from imagination, you don't really have to mind the seasons outside. I do paint more summer during the summer and so on, but I always wanted to be able to just paint whatever kind of feels right to me. So we can add shade and light to this afterwards. I didn't want to have it too anything really. It's always a problem when I'm really happy with the landscape too early, as here. I'm kind of I already like the landscape, but I have to put things into it. It creates a little bit of a challenge. We do need to have this darker, otherwise it kind of just disappears in the landscape. So I actually do have to have it darker here, ultramarine and violet. Something like this. We can have it really kind of almost a neon landscape at first here, and then we can always add more shadows and things. It's almost let's okay, no, I have to have it much darker. And then we can add light afterwards. So this isn't working. I actually have to do something like this. And I think you'll see why. We need the contrast. Let's see if I can get, this is my favorite brush at the moment, a bamboo brush. A bamboo handle, I mean, it's a Chinese style brush. I kind of like the light color up here. We can have lots of different shades to the snow here. So we'll have one tree like that. So I want it to be a little bit in a forest, but maybe I'll change my mind. Put down a little bit of shadows here. What I do want, I want some, okay, the Aurora is going to be quite a lot lighter, I think. And it is going to reflect light into the trees. And for that to be possible, of course, I need the trees to be at least a certain kind of dark. This is the challenge and problem with painting from imagination, is that you don't have anything to go by and there is no plan. Let's put another tree down here. It doesn't have to be as detailed yet. I just want at least the top here to be quite detailed so I have an idea. I'm just going to block the light off completely here. We can get the focus a little bit more in, I think. I am already, I have to admit, well, I don't have to admit, but I am going to. I've already started to listen to Christmas music little bit early. But just this, the feeling of deep snow and stars, trees like trollish sculptures. I'm always much more in love with the idea of Christmas than just Christmas itself. And I think a lot of people have that kind of listening to Christmas music and kind of getting into the mood. The actual Christmas Eve, as lovely as that can be, and is, it doesn't justify the amount of preparation, emotional preparation, investment, and love leading up to it. But it's not about that. It's about this kind of mood. And I think if I'd come from a different culture, I just celebrate it in a different way. I know a lot of Indians have that kind of feeling for Diwali, and it's just this kind of the festival of light, and just this particular kind of mood that I love, and that winter and has so much more than anything else, especially now the seasons that's coming, the dark winter. There is of course a light winter, which is more in February, but the really really dark season that's coming now. I love it so much. I'm already looking forward to it and celebrating it, as we are here with this book. We have the Christmas market this year too. So, last Christmas market, we actually sold more online than on the particular Christmas market. It was fun, but it was hard. We might do it the year afterwards, after next year. But we, in 30 minus, we put everything up. And it's my busiest time of year when I paint, and we have so much to do anyway. So no, not this year. We're gonna go there and just enjoy it. But it it makes very little sense for me to have to be on the Christmas market. For those who don't know, we were last year, Lena and I stood with my paintings and her photos and so on the and photo prints on the Röros Christmas market. Röros is a little town about an hour away, which for us is kind of close, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A beautiful, beautiful old mining town, and it has the most enchanting Christmas market. So we were there last year, but it's incredible cold in these areas, and we had 30 minus the night before when we were setting everything up, and my god, putting up nails in 30 minus, holding it, because I had to hold it without gloves. Just the nail goes so cold. I think we had almost minus 35 at times there when we were setting everything up, and it was hard. And then standing for 8 hours outside, it was really, really hard. And then to discover that I actually sold more online while I was standing there, it was just a bit too much. No, we're not gonna do that this year. Maybe another time, and then just for fun, just kind of to have the social aspect and not make too much of a deal out of it. Absolutely, I would like to do something like that again, but I'll wait a little bit. I still have to recover from last year. I do agree, Kata. Christmas markets are absolutely beautiful. So we're definitely going to go to the Christmas market. I think I'm going to enjoy it more that way. At some point in time, I do have don't hold me to this, but I really, really do have a hope of at some point perhaps having a store, my own store, perhaps in Röros. That's something I really did like at the Christmas market too, and it could be much more to actually meet people and have that interaction, and with that mood too, when people kind of come in and you have the little bell, and I love that. Thank you, Luna. Yeah, yeah, I think we're gonna have to do that for now. And kind of, well, get the mood into the online as well. But I really do like the have it in person, or perhaps at some point when we finally found our farm. For those of you who don't know, that's we are still on it, and we're going to find it. And then perhaps even having a little market there would be wonderful. So there are lots of different plans and different ideas that are kind of percolating and working. So let's see what's gonna happen. But definitely in some fashion, I want a little store, and even if it's just for a few days a year or weekend or something like that, I do want that mood. I've talked about it before, the little Harry Potter store mood. The cold is insane. Yeah, that was. And yeah. So that was an extreme experience, I have to say. To stand in a booth at 30 minus was, I mean, even for that place, and I think we had 35 minus one day, and even for those who were used to it, they kind of those that had arranged it, they came and gave us kind of discounted heating pads, and everyone packed up earlier that day, and it was too extreme. Everyone just kind of walked past like this. It's tough enough to walk outside, but to actually stand outside for 8 hours. I had heating clothes, thankfully. Lena had to go inside and heat up. It it was really hard. But all that is to say, it was still a beautiful experience, and it's a beautiful market. And I mean, there is just, in my opinion, I know lots of people probably love their Christmas market just as much, but there's no more beautiful place to have a Christmas market than Röros. It's just, if you imagine a traditional Scandinavian Christmas market, that's what you imagine. I'm very sensitive to cold. Yeah, well, you can't be that there. I get that. But then that's, oh yeah. Well, you do kind of get used to 20 minus, you get used to. 30 minus, well, I still haven't gotten used to that. And thankfully, it doesn't happen too much here. I think 37 minus was the coldest we had last winter. It can get a lot colder here, but it hasn't done so in a few years. I think in quite many years it hasn't really gotten colder than minus 40. Which is cold enough. So I did at some point want some stars in here. Let's do a little bit more work on the lights first, because once I have stars, I can't do the big brush work. See which brushes I use. They always kind of land here eventually. Let's see here. We have. How long have we been going? For an hour. We still have an hour. Let's see. I think we can get a lot further than this. Can't wait for you to have the shop. Oh yes, that would be wonderful. That is one of the things that I really envision with the shop at some point, to have all of you who have been following for so long, followers, customers, people that we've in some ways gotten to know over these streams, and finally meet you in person. That would be incredible, and it is going to happen. Just have to be patient. But that would be wonderful. So let's make it even redder. So as far as I can tell, the red Northern Lights behaves in exactly the same manner as all of the other colors. So kind of in the middle it goes brighter. Well, it's just the kind of the glowing effect, which is kind of universal in a way. The way that things glow. Oh, I have a song in my head. It just goes and goes. I watched a reel today. I was posting a short on YouTube and I watched something just to kind of to see if I could find a song. And I have the song, you know, I'm not gonna sing it, but the dance, dance, dance with my hands above my oh, and it just goes round and round in my head. I wish I could put on some music here, but YouTube would shut me down if I do. And it just keeps going and going. It's not the kind of song I listen to. Trying to think of Enya or something like that to get it out of my head. The reason I mention it is that every time you see me kind of, I'm trying to suppress the urge to sing it, realizing that I'm online, live here. And I think it would kind of spoil the wonderful mood. And we have a sunset here now. It's the rain has stopped, and now there's a clear sky. I think there's going to be northern lights tonight. Having a song. Oh, thank God! It's the song Pay. There are songs that are just so incessant that eventually they just stick. And sometimes they grow on you. There are songs that you kind of really dislike, and then you just you hear them in your head so much that eventually you just kind of have to listen to them, and just hoping that no one can hear you. There are some songs and things that when you just really hope that your Bluetooth doesn't suddenly kind of just switch over to someone else's. That's one of them. Okay, the lights are getting more insane, which was the goal. Now, if we now mix in some yellow stars, let's just get a little bit of blue in first. That needs to be lighter. If you get in some yellow stars now afterwards, this I think is going to turn into, well, it's going to be interesting to see. Really hope to see this one Sunday. We had some incredibly strong purple ones where we used to live, one, and here too actually, purple and green, but this would be new. No. Okay, we're going to do more work on these, but I want at least the colors established enough that we can paint in some stars. So all of this dries quite quickly while I paint here. As I said in the beginning, I have a cicative mixed with my turpentine. That means that it adds oxygen to the paint and it dries it a lot quicker than usual. which is really helpful for live streams, but it does mean that there's a certain kind of time pressure to add things. But it really does help, because that actually means that we're not going to be able to finish this painting, I think, but we're gonna get really far. I can paint something like this in 3 hours sometimes. We're gonna be doing 2, but let's see. I think we're at least going to get far enough that it basically is going to look finished, even if there might be a little bit more to do. And this book is going to be available in our September launch, which actually isn't that far away. Oh. It's strange to think in 2 weeks' time we have September. And then I'm fairly certain October follows, and then we're almost at Christmas. So I'm going to have this launch, this launch in September, and then that's the reason too why I am actually, I think, allowed to get in a Christmas mood already, because after this launch in September, I am going to start on the Christmas launch. In fact, a few of the things that I'm painting now are for the Christmas launch in some ways anyway, because these are the kind of the winter themed things. So I don't paint particular for Christmas. I don't paint kind of Santas and things like that, but for Christmas launch, of course, we need northern lights and stars and snow and so on, and just that mood. Okay, I think it's getting there. This looks wrong. Something a little bit more like that. We can put in some stars. We'll just this should be straighter, I think, something like that. You have to do too many things, Painter. Read messages, talk. Oh, thank you, Simona. Well, it works. It's fine. So, let's get some stars into this painting. And I think some yellow stars. Oh, what happened there? I must have spilled something, because this isn't supposed to happen. Of course, we can just put some stars in the middle of them. No idea what happened there. Uh-oh. I'll just put some stars in and it'll be fine. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to plop down... Well, I did this last time. Well, this is an oil stick. And it's possible to just do that. And then use the brush. Let's see here. And then just kind of paint around it, and you have a star. It's going to be a really big star. They shouldn't really be that big. But that works. So some people use the spray method. I really very much like to paint each star individually. It just gives me that much more control. That works. Let's just do that. So as I said before, this is an oil stick, and it's basically just pigment. It's not just, it's kind of a new invention, I think, from Senlier, and they just basically made really wonderful, expensive pigments into the stick, and you can basically draw with oil, and then you can use turpentine and something like that to paint with it just in the usual way. And it means that it's possible now to actually draw and paint at the same time, which I think is brilliant. So I'm just going to add some little points here with my little oil stick, and then use the brush to smooth it out. And remembering to cluster the stars. Stars are not spaced out evenly in the sky. And the smaller stars, I can just use my brush. I just wanted to, well, I'm really enamored of the oil stick, so I'm just going to use that a little bit. Now, of course, the stars are technically behind the aurora, so we're just going to have to smooth it out and paint it in such a way that it looks like they are behind, of course. So for the really smaller stars, I'm just going to use the brush, but I really like the thing is that if I use paint and I add the pigment here, it dries, and then at some point I can't smooth it out properly. Whereas when I use the oil stick here, I'm basically just putting down pigment, but not the paint, not the turpentine. And that really keeps it from drying out. So this is just going to be able to stay there, and I have time now to go around with my brush and smooth it out. And then we can go out with the, oh, this has to lie properly, with the mini brush and make little lines so that they twinkle and shine. It's a little bit of an awkward position here, but we'll manage. I'll manage. So what I do, just the same thing as I did there. Just go around each star and smooth out the pigment around it so that it looks like it's shining. That's another reason why I like to do each of them individually. When I was a child and I looked at these landscapes, the really big, wonderful traditional landscapes, I saw them in our Norwegian textbooks. I was so enamored by them, but when I saw them in the National Gallery and I actually walked up close, I was really, really disappointed with the fact that the painter had painted everything so it looks wonderful when you're standing a few meters away. But when you come in close, it wasn't detailed at all. Which, if you want to paint it in a natural, realistic way, you don't have to. In some ways, if you paint it too detailed, it's not going to look as realistic. But I always wanted to have the painting so detailed that it's possible to go really, really close and enjoy it from a few centimeters. And that's kind of followed me ever since. So in a way, some of the detail work is unnecessary, but I really enjoy it, and it's then possible to kind of go closer. There's just something about a starry sky. It's just such a kind of an ethereal, wonderful thing. I can never get enough of it, even though in some ways it is a pain to paint each little star. I just love the effect. I really want to paint a kind of a 2 by 2 meter starry sky painting, but it would take quite a lot of concentrated effort. I mean, which is fine, but it's just going to take a while to paint each star on such a canvas. But I suppose the oil stick might actually help. And sometimes if you get it just right, you can paint, and maybe we'll get that here, that it's possible to do the stars that are quite far away. They don't need necessarily a bright spot in the middle, and it's possible to just plop down one after another. I should probably at some point find some music that I could play. I suppose everyone can play their own music here in the background. It's probably better. I sometimes had music on my ear. But actually, quite a few of my live streams from a few years ago when I did that were actually blocked because for some reason YouTube actually managed to hear it, even if you can't hear it in the stream. So these we need to obscure in such a way that it does look like the Northern Lights is behind it. So, which means that I'm going to add more stars, but I'm going to add them really, really softly in the background. Sorry, I realized I've had these things in the picture the entire time. Which wasn't necessary. There we are. Well, there's still a lot to learn. Every time I think I've kind of nailed the setup for these live streams, something pops in. So we're almost through here. We can go back to the landscape. I think it's going to be nice to finally have the stars. Oh, let's remove that. And I am looking forward to coming back to the... I really wanted to do that last year, but I didn't manage to get back to my ancient forest, but on skis this time. It would be nice to get there over the lake. I think last winter was the first winter for our new dog, of course, for Alva. And it wasn't, we did kind of shorter trips with her and had to be a little bit careful. And I think now she's ready for larger adventures. So I think we're going to have to do some more exciting things for her. She's really exploring the world. And I think something like that might be fun. Whew! Alright, there we have the stars. This is starting to become something. I'm really excited about that. I'm going to add a few little tiny lines to one star. I'm not going to go over the entire painting and do that for each one now. I'm just going to add a few little lines to one so we can see how it can be. I often just add some lines to some of the stars. I'm just going to... This is my tiniest little brush here. Just going to have to hold my breath here for a second. There, so we have it kind of shining. There we are. Like so. Thank you, Misty. That is very kind of you. I actually think it is starting to look... it's something, I think this is possible to really mess up a red Northern Lights, but I think it's kind of working, and we're gonna have some more stars. Just a random question. Well, do fire up with more questions. We had a very very silent live stream. I'm gonna take that in some ways as a as a good sign, but it's you can just ask many more questions and be much more rambunctious in the chat. How long does it need to dry on wood? Well, it's a difficult question actually to answer because in some ways it dries really fast. In some ways it's dry already. No, it's not dry already, of course. But if you see, if I do that, there's nothing on my finger. Nothing on this finger. So in some ways it's already dry, but I can still, it's kind of seeped into the wood and kind of dried in a little bit. But I can still soften it up with turpentine, usually about a day later, but since I have cicative in here, it's maybe a few hours. So a few hours, I would say, this takes to dry. Usually oil on wood takes longer to dry, and it can take quite a bit longer. It has a lot to do with the climate you're in. So now it's dry outside and not too cold, which means that it dries quite fast. If it's really warm and the humidity is high, it dries slower. So it has a lot to do with humidity too. So it's the humidity and the temperature have enormous impact. So for instance, if you don't want your oil to dry, I often just put it outside when it's cold, because if it's really cold, it takes a lot longer to dry. So the drying temperatures of oil is a very difficult thing to answer properly because it's an enormous variety dependent upon the weather. But it dries a lot quicker on wood than it would on a canvas. So if you paint on wood, be very aware of the fact that it's going to dry a lot faster. But as I said, you can soften it up longer than you think, and a lot longer than you can with acrylics. So oil is always going to dry much slower than acrylic paint. We have many summer art fairs. Do you have those there? And more comfortable seasons. So there are not many, there's not much of anything here really. I think there are probably some, there are some fairs. There's one in the, I'm going to say commune, that sounds strange in English, the municipality where we live. There's one, but it's kind of more of a sports entertainment thing. Art fairs, I haven't really seen any. There just really isn't much going on in this area. There are things going on in Röros, and there is a lot of art going on there, and some smaller exhibitions in the cafes and so on, but not as far as I'm aware, but I am sure there's a lot more going on than I am aware of. So when we get a little bit more, when we know where we can stay, if we can stay, I think it's going to be time to kind of get to know all of those things a bit more. Summer market would be beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so I think a lot of those things are going to come when the time is right. Now there is a question as to how to continue. Can do a little line on the mountain, I think. Just gonna do a little. Well, that's a question, if maybe it already looks nice. No, I think we'll just do a little line, so that it kind of lights up a little bit from behind, I think. this is the stage where in some ways the hard painting work in some ways is done, but the really difficult thing is just about to start. Because at this point it is absolutely possible to start ruining the painting, and we don't want to do that. Something like that I think is nice. Summer markets we have, yeah, art, oh, that is nice. The weather is agreeable. Yeah, that does sound nicer and a little bit easier than the winter markets. It's just that it's so cozy at Christmas. Well, the look, the visual look, not the actual being there. Well, I think just there are just some few people here, and around, I mean, there could be a lot more going on, I suppose. I'll have to do a little bit more research to figure out what's actually going on. Let's do some trees, I think. Let's do some more trees and a little bit more contrasts. Hello, Maria, welcome. We were just talking about the Aurora's Christmas market and the freezing temperatures, and Maria actually lives there, so she is much more used to those temperatures. And she actually met us last year when we were there. I love the Northern Lights. Well, that is good, Maria. I am currently painting blood Northern Lights. Well, what do you call them, Misty? Blood lights. I don't know. I'm not sure if you've ever seen those. In Röros, of course, you can see them just as well as you can here. But I've never seen red Northern Lights myself, but perhaps you have. Weather can be bad. Oh, right. So yeah, I painted the more traditional Northern Lights, and now I felt it's time to try something a little bit more experimental for my universe theme. And so we are currently working on, well, red Northern Lights. And I am trying to figure out what to do with the trees, which is why I'm kind of mixing something together here. Let's see. So we have the trees. The thing is that I'm in some ways I'm almost starting to become to be happy with the painting, and I don't want to ruin it. Some more stars at some point. Of course, let's see. Can have some small trees here in front. Make the contrast a little bit stronger. That might be nice. Just gonna add a little bit of color and then smooth it out. Maybe I'm not sure. I have a stem on the ground in front which has snow on it. That could work. What we can also do is to add, and I think that might be good because then we can see the trees more, is to add a little bit of foliage to the trees. So I might do that. A stem, absolutely, we can do something like that. That might be nice. Might have to be a little bit bold here. It's going to do a little bit more contrast. In the same way that you would when you're kind of doing a photo. Let's see, there. And I think I'm just going to smooth things out As I said, I do like the fact that you can go close, and I like to hide my brush strokes. And as you can see, this is kind of dry in some ways, but it's still possible to kind of soften it up, the color, with a little bit of turpentine. And even after now half an hour, it's absolutely possible to just smooth everything out, which is something I really like with oil colors, and I hate about acrylics. So that's one thing why I use oil here, because you can always just come in and do this later. You don't have to do it right away. Let's see, and I'm gonna add. I want some trees in the background as well. So here I'm just imagining a little bush or a little kind of a little tree that is snowed. It's completely snowed in. You know, these kind of odd sculptures that happen in deep, deep winter. Yeah, I think that actually looks, I think it's good with some contrast. We'll get a little bit more depth to it. And with the Northern Lights painting, it's always good with a little bit more contrast because the light is going to be stronger. We can of course still make the light stronger too. We can add a few stronger stars, and we can always make it redder, but I think this might be as red as we want to make it. It might be red enough. So, even more, let's put a little bit, actually it is darker than it looks on this screen. So if I tilted it like this, you can see that it is actually a bit darker than it looks here. So I might not want to do too much of that. The stem on the ground might be a good idea, but it might also kind of disrupt. Everything is snowed in here, so we would just have the shape, and it might look a little bit strange. I'm just going to add in some trees in the background first, and then we'll see what can come in later, or in the foreground here. Let's see which brush, and not as dark as here in the foreground. It's just, if we have it here, I'm gonna have to keep holding my breath a little bit when I do this. This is too light. Oh, let's see, I just have to figure out the right position here. It's a little bit small workspace. There we are. So what we might want to, okay, there we are. Yeah, I think that works. What I thought we might want to do is to go in. Just gonna hope that I'm not gonna ruin anything here. Oh, that doesn't work at all, does it? No. That doesn't either. What I thought is that I could perhaps zoom it in a little bit, but I'm gonna have to do that on the screen if I wanted to. Let's not do that. Let's just hope that everything is fine. And Let's not disturb. Let's not disturb it too much. Yeah, let's just decide that this is fine. Hopefully you can see a little bit of what I'm doing. So I'm adding tiny little trees here. And this should give us a lot more depth. So we add those there. I can add one here. So instead of just plopping blobs down, I'm just going to use the fine brush and create the details right away. Yeah, I now have to figure out how I zoom. But I'm kind of happy about the setup right now, so I'm not going to disturb it too much. So I think I want quite a lot more trees. That is what I wanted. I wanted to kind of have a deep, deep landscape. And it's only when I start adding trees that it's really possible to see how everything is going to look. And kind of how far things are away. So I'm just going to add those first. Kind of the different steps of the trees, and then add more afterwards. This is also something that kind of the really intense detail work I can always do on my own later. But during this session we've actually gotten quite far with the painting, I think. I'm always surprised. It goes so slowly in the beginning. And I always then think, how are we going to get anything done in the 2 hours? And now 1.5 hours later, and we basically have a painting of something I've never painted before, which is kind of exciting. It's just so insane to think of all of the different things that kind of exist in our world. This different phenomenon. It's crazy how fast you can. Thank you, Kat. I'm kind of surprised how fast it goes myself. I know the first 10 minutes we were just kind of painting blue on top of the landscape. And then at some point it kind of just starts to go. I just have to I have to breathe a little bit differently than when I paint these details, because it's usually the breath that messes up the details. It makes the hand shake. It's the ugly stage in the beginning, then it goes really. Yeah, it's a very it's a very strange thing, but there is a certain point when it's just kind of goes, I think. There. Let's add a little bit of shadow, and then I think we'll add a little bit of light, and then I think actually for now we've kind of painted most of the painting, I think. So I think we're gonna call it an evening a little bit earlier, since soon we're gonna be to the point where I would need a different kind of focus on the painting to finish it. But it's really nice that it's possible to get this far together here in the live stream. Add a little bit of shadow. We might add more trees and things later. Keep the lines proper. Yeah, I think it's really important to not to get discouraged when you're kind of in the beginning stages of a painting, and just it's really something I had to learn. Takes a little bit to learn it, to paint through, and just to keep going and to kind of trust that it's going to turn out well. You just kind of have to get through those stages and kind of just trust that it'll turn out well. So what I wanted is to get a little bit of the light into the painting. So we'll have some soft purplish red. It kind of comes down from the lights, from the northern lights into the painting here. Oh. Whew. There, I actually think I'm going to leave it there for now. But I think we got quite far in this live stream, 1.5 hours later, and we've actually painted my first red northern lights. It's kind of a scary process, but exciting. Let's see if we can't kind of hold it up a little bit more here. Something like this, and you can see it. So yeah, it's been fun, and I'm really happy that you guys joined me. I'm just going to clean up my brushes here a little bit. And I'm going to say good night. Yeah, it's just thank you, Katha. Let's see, is it possible to really show this properly? We might not have the resolution as properly as I would have wished here, but this is our Northern Lights book. So it was a really nice stream, and I'm so glad to have you guys join me. We still have the painting that we did in the last stream that I'm going to finish, and I'm going to have a lottery of that, and I am hoping that I'll see you in the next live stream. So thank you for now, and thank you for being a part of this, part of my first Blood Aurora. So good night, and until next time.